Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has one down year, and everybody's just ready to write him off and let him fall into the second round. I can't believe it because I got stats that say he should be drafted much higher and be a priority in the second round.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics. I'm Matthew Ahne. Welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you, everydayers and listeners, for making us first listen each and every day. I'm a longtime fantasy baseball analyst with over 20 years of fantasy baseball knowledge, and we do this podcast to share it with you. Whether you're watching or listening, please be sure to subscribe, like, comment, rate, and review. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your first $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Now, I got a great episode for you. Look, we're covering the end of the second round and the beginning of the third round. And there's some serious, for me, controversial picks. Look, we covered earlier players where I'm saying it was kind of crazy to go and have these guys so late. There's even worse in this round, in all honesty. And it starts with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has fallen to pick 23 and the end of the second round. That makes no sense. What, he had bad power numbers and lower ribbies this year? I'm sorry, he still batted 290, 292 to be specific. Still had 96 runs, 34 doubles, and 84 ribs. Walked an insane amount, and everything points to positive regression going into 2026. Look, I understand it's flippity floppity. He hasn't hit over 40 home runs in since 21, but had 30 home runs, 26 home runs, 30 home runs again, now 23. Look, all the signs under the hood say he should have hit a lot more home runs. I think he got unlucky. Let's look at that. He barreled 13.7%. It's only about 4% higher than what he did in 2023. 2021 when he hit the 44 home runs. And then hard hit percentage, that's still stellar. He still crushed it at 50.7%. And I'm sorry, I was reading previous here. 12.2% barrel percentage. It's still not far off. It's enough to say, hey, the hard hit percentage with the barreling is going to equate to more home runs in 26. It's just the most likely case when you have that much of elite contact mixed with that hard hit percentage, it leads to more home runs. It's just simple math. Look, the batting average is always legitimate. He walked 11.9%, struck out only 13.8%. If anything, he's going to hit 300 next year because it's sustainable. When you have a profile like that where you walk the strikeout percentage is that just that good. Look, the expected batting average was 305. Everything about his game this year screams, oh, there's positive regression coming. He should be going much higher in this round. I'm sorry. It just makes no sense to me. Look, things that really stick out to me is, quite honestly, he did better in the ground ball percentage than he did in the year he hit 30 home runs, equated to the same in 2024, and only 2% higher in the ground ball percentage in the year he hit 44 home runs. He fly balls was just seriously down. That is his biggest thing. The year he hit 44 home runs, he hit it for 25.2%. This year, 19.8%. That is a big difference. That means he's not getting the lift. But hey, that is an easy adjustment because you can just pull the ball a little bit more. You can do a few things. And he pulled the ball almost as much as he did in 21, actually more than he did in 21. So it's just a matter of just figuring out how to get a little bit more, air under that ball to make that ball go over the fence, just a hair more. And Vlad's just fine. He has 35 home run upside just with the underlying stats alone. It's not like he's never done it before. We're not chasing the dragon here or the upside. Like, legitimately, he's done it. So, why are we letting him fall to the late second round? It just makes no sense to me. It's the same story I was talking about yesterday with Kyle Tucker, with Gunnar Henderson, and quite honestly, even with Junior Caminero. I mean, that one's kind of fair. But, like those two alone, Gunnar Henderson and Kyle Tucker, should be drafted much higher. They were both first-round picks. They had down years. You mix in with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., they should be much higher. They should truly be at the end of the first, if not the start of the second. And we're gonna bank on guys that never done it before. We're gonna pick pitchers earlier. That makes no sense. Just makes no sense to me. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a guy that 100% is going to outperform this draft pick. You get him, he is incredible. Look, he was a first-round pick next year. And the way I rank it is it literally goes Kyle Tucker, Gunnar Henderson, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But that's how I had it last year in the top 12. Look, you get those guys in the second round, you've made out like a bandit. You are going to do so well this year. Their ROP, the return on draft pick, is going to be stellar. This is your target in the second round after those two. And quite honestly, I don't care where I am in the second round. It's 1, 2, 3. I don't care who else. 1, 2, 3. Don't try and buy upside with Nick Kurtz. Don't try and go after the Francisco Lindor and try and say he's going to be start off hot this year like he did for the first time in his career. Like, you're going to go chase the Cal Riley, the bust I'm calling in the second round because you don't pick a catcher that high. You're going to go chase the Jackson Churio, who doesn't seem to have the underlying stats to support him and get the power numbers that everybody expects out of him. No, I'm going to go pick the 3 consistent guys in the round that straight up have done it before, will do it again. So don't discount Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because he's going to do better than this. He is the first baseman one. The Nick Kurtz is so shallow, it's not even funny. But that is a whole nother discussion. We'll get into that when we do first base rankings. Let's keep going. So about Jazz, which I think is kind of like a fair ranking. If not, he could probably fall a little bit. Now, Jazz is just a guy that, if he played a whole 162 games, he would be one of the best, if not the best third baseman in the league. The thing is, he's never played a full season. His career high was last year at 147 games. This year, 130. In 23, 90, 97, I'm sorry. In 22, 60. In 21, 124. The guy just doesn't stay healthy, and that's fine. But he does produce when he's on the field. 75 runs, 31 bombs, 80 ribs, 31 stolen bases, batted 242. Look, when he's healthy, he's fine. He's winning you weeks. He's just doing what he's supposed to be doing. The problem is the reason why he's going so low, if not, he should be going lower because there's guys lower than him that I would draft over him by far. And it comes at a premium because he's at the second and third base position. But ultimately, I still value him pretty well, and he's earned it. He also has outfield eligibility as well. You got to see where you want to take him and where you're willing to pay the risk. He's probably one of the higher risk players in the second round, and at the end of the second round, where I probably think I'd be more comfortable with him in the third round. And there's guys I'd definitely draft over him as well, and I'd draft him over as well. So that we'll just get into that in a little bit. Now, this next guy, Yamamoto, he is the start of the third round. Now, I can understand why you have 2 stud bats. You did a really good job in your draft, right? Like, picked anybody in the first that wasn't a pitcher, and then you picked, one of the 3 guys I recommended, and then you go and you can pick Yamamoto and you feel great about yourself. I'm not mad at that. But the thing is, I just don't feel great about drafting a pitcher in the third round, especially this high. Like, say, for instance, I'm at the end of the third round and then I see that there's a pitcher run, then I'll do it because then I know my bats are going to be there anyway when I turn around for early 4th round pick. But in this situation, I'm this early. No, I'm picking a bat. I don't care. There's guys like Kyle Schwarber in this round, Pete Alonso, James Wood, guys that I would 100% draft over him to assure that I have awesome players on my team, bottom line. And I can pick up pitching later because you'll see when we do the episode tomorrow that there is better pitching in the 4th round, if not better, equal to that. It just come at a better value. And that's really just how it stands today. And that's how I'm approaching it. So for me, Yamamoto's a great pitcher. I think he is totally worth actually, I think he's probably better than Crochet in my opinion. Is a great value. I'm not picking him just based off of how I like to construct my team. But, that's just me. You may say I'm crazy. It is what it is. It's just a matter of methodology. There's plenty of ways to skin a cat. So it is what it is. Coming up next, I got guys like Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner, and what to do truly with Trey Turner because he had a good year, but was it good enough? Coming up right after this. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel making sure that you're ready for kickoff with can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I like to bet. Player props, building same-game parlays, or even jumping into the action as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting. Whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup, it's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little bit more energy to Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today and by visiting fanduel.com, get started. That's fanduel.com to place your first $5 bet. Let's make that first $5 bet count. And I got a good one for you. Look, I'm in on the Patriots this week. Drake May looks like he's primed for a good game. And who's he thrown to? Stephon Diggs. So what am I doing? I'm a fantasy player. I also love to stack it. You can do the stack in your same game parlay. You stack Drake May, 250 yard passing over. That's easy. It's a lock. 2, my boy Stephon Diggs with over 60 yards receptions, at least 5 receptions, and an anytime touchdown. And in that same game, Trevion Henderson, at least 3 receptions, 40 rushing yards, and a down. I think it's a fair bet. I think it's a bet that's going to get you paid and make that $5 bet count. Peace. All right, let's get back into it. Like Schwarber had a great year, a phenomenal year. One thing I loved about this season, contract year. Just like I said it, he's going to perform for the contract. Stellar batting average, insane home run numbers, awesome runs and ribs, crushed this season, even had stolen bases, which was the biggest surprise to me of the whole season. The fact that he had 10 stolen bases in general was just impressive to me. He hasn't done that since 2022, which is wild and matched his career high. But overall, he had a really good season. You know, I look at it and I go, he was so consistent. But the thing is it repeatable? For me, looking at it, going at age 33 in a contract year where he's trying to settle down where he's going to be, the answer is too questionable. He returns to the Phillies, where I think he will be. I think most of this is repeatable. I think the runs, ribs, and home runs come down to a more reasonable expectation of like 35 to 40 home runs. 95 to 105 runs and ribs a piece. And the batting average probably stays about the same. But this is the double-edged sword. If he leaves, there's a couple of other sides of this coin we have to evaluate. So there's some landing spots where I'm going to be like, okay, I don't really like I'm hearing, if he goes to Dodgers, I'm really not going to like it, but he's going to be good, but more like the second half of the season, which buy low. And I'm going to make that draft price go down. He can go to Boston. He can go to a few other places where, okay, new year, new team kind of rule kind of type plays where the production is going to be down, at least to start off the season. He'll finish fine, but to start off the season. But there's another side of this, and there's rumors, just rumors. He might go to the Cincinnati Reds. He goes to the Reds. Kyle Schwarber specifically hitting in Great American Hitter Park. That's what I call it. For 80 games. The best hitting park in all baseball, and a guy that crushes the ball. His ranking is going to fly up. I don't care. The new year, new team doesn't even matter. He's played there before. He goes back there. Oh my God. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be repeatable. It's going to be 100% the best situation humanly possible. Goes back to Philly. I'm loving it. Goes anywhere else, I'm going to probably bring him down. So him, for me, right now, it's still, too much ambiguity surrounding him for me to really say whether I like this draft price or I don't, whether I think it's a steal or whether I think it's overpriced. We'll just have to wait and find out. But for now, Schwarber, I think, is in a fair ranking spot for now. Let's put it that way. If he's on the Phillies, great spot. This is where I'm taking him. I'm taking him over Yamamoto, though. Probably take him over Jazz because he'll play a full season. That's really just where it's at with that. And honestly, like you look at the other guys going in that round before. Nick Kurtz shouldn't be that high. Jackson Chourio shouldn't be that high. I'm taking over him. I'm taking over Cal Riley. Like that's where like you kind of got to draw the line and be like, okay, cool, yeah. That is where I will say those are the guys I'm drafting over. So they fall for me. Obviously, you can see where I stand. So Schwarber should be a little bit higher. Let's move on. So about Trey Turner. Trey Turner had a really good season, but from a baseball standpoint, not from a fantasy baseball standpoint. Kyle Schwarber played, not Kyle Schwarber. Trey Turner played 141 games. He'd only missed, 20 some odd games. I'm not really mad at that. But the thing is, there's some things missing from his game. So the thing about Turner is usually you're like, okay, cool. He'll hit 20 to 25 home runs with 30 home run upside, right? So you really kind of expect like 25 home runs. He had 15. So 10 less than your expectation. The ribbies are down on a team where he should have had a lot more ribbies. And I understand too, he led off a lot, but I also look at what Kyle Schwarber did in that leadoff position, and he did not capitalize the way Kyle Schwarber did. That's just me. On top of that, batting average was amazing. Runs, great, but that's because he was leading off on that team. And the stolen base numbers were fantastic. 30 is, much better than what we've had in the past. I love that, but the power and the ribs are down. And, he had better paces with less games over the last couple of years. Like literally 24 in 2024, 505 at bats, played 121 games, 20 less games. He had 62 ribs. This year he had 69 in 20 more games. That's bad. In 23, similar pace, but still missed 8 games. Probably would have got to the 80 threshold. Still would have expected a little bit more, but still, it's just Trey Turner going to age 33, not really feeling it, in all honesty. He's probably going to end up on my bust list, but not because of the talent. I think Trey Turner is an awesome player. So Philly fans, do not yell at me. Look, from a fantasy baseball standpoint, is he going to return on that draft pick? The ROP, is it there? Answer? No, I don't think so. If he does 20, 30, bats 306, has 94 runs, you're really happy. But here's the deal. There's a but coming. Under the hood screams he's not doing it. And that's the unfortunate part. What he did this year is like a Nico Hoerner. His upside right now, based off of the underlying stats, screams Nico Hoerner-ish. It's not fun. In the years he's hit 30, closer to 20, mid-20s home runs or 30 home runs, things were better, such as barrel percentage. Barrel percentage this year is 5.8. That's really bad. It's really good for a pitcher, not for a hitter. The hard hit percentage, 42.1%. Though those two stats together scream, I'm not hitting home runs, which means it's going to be hard to get to 20 home runs, which means you're going to struggle. Now, can he get more ribs? Sure, but he has to be in a position to do it. Him leading off and proving that he leaves guys on base and doesn't really succeed in those aspects. Trey Turner is going to struggle. Don't love it. Look, also, too, the batting average is awesome. He only strikes out 16.7% of the time, but the walk percentage also makes things a little bit hollow for me, too. He hit 304 this year. That's not sustainable. He's going to hit probably more like 285, 290, which is still great, but in points leagues, he's going to kill you. He's only walking about 6.7%. Even with that low strikeout number, he's still going to output on negative games. So that's just the thing there. Guy chased a boatload, 31%. Just not doing things that I really like. And even the expected batting average, 272. So I'm sorry, but the Trey Turner bubble is about to pop. And he's going to be on a bust list because I don't think that he still got it the way everybody expects him to. So I'm kind of on the outside of Trey Turner. But coming up next, since I only covered 2 guys in about 10 minutes, I'm going to move this a little faster. I got Pete Alonso, James Wood, and what to do with them. And honestly, is Pete Crow another bust going super early? We'll find out right after this. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering for your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets, that's the hassle between queues, login screens, price jumps at checkout, and it's just frustrating, right? Game time is fast. It's easy, backed by Game Time's guarantee. You always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included up front, so your price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and I just use the couple taps, and it's amazing deals. Talking about my favorite NFL games, it's as low as $100. The app makes it super simple. I can even see my view from my seat. So I'm making sure I'm not sitting behind that pole. And here's the coolest one. It's interesting. I tried it once and I just loved it. Zone deals, right? You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it really happens. It's pretty awesome. Honestly, it's faster, it's cheaper, it's less stressful than other ways of buying tickets I've done in the past. Download the Game Tool app, Game Time app. Create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go and download Game Time today. And I'll be honest, look, personal support. I've been using Game Time long before Locked On. One of my favorite apps, hands down. Best place to buy tickets. All right, I'm going to move a lot faster on this one. So let's get into it. Pete Alonso, question marks where he's going to land. Hasn't really signed yet. Him and the Mets are in conversation, but I don't know if he returns. If he don't return, that's going to affect a whole lot of players. But, I think he'll go back, if I'm being honest. If he doesn't, great landing spots obviously are Phillies, which there's rumors, Dodgers, Yankees, like all the big boys, trying to, pay up and get the player. He goes on any of those teams, great. Gonna have a slow start, new year, new team kind of type deal. Kind of like a fair expectation to him. I like the landings. I like wherever he lands at this point, as long as it's not like, one of the worst teams in baseball, like the White Sox. Then we got a problem. But Pete Alonso should be good no matter where he is. Might have a slower start based off of where he lands if he doesn't go back to the Mets. Let's move on. Let's talk about James Wood. I talked about him the other day. I have high hopes for James Wood. I think he should be drafted way higher. Should be in the second round. Dude, look, everything about what James Wood had done in this last year screams, I'm going to have an amazing second year, hands down. Third year, or second full year in the bigs. Look, he had a really good year. I mean, I just don't understand the hesitation around him. 598 at-bats, 87 runs, 38 doubles, 31 bombs, 94 ribs, 15 stolen bases, batted 256. Crushed it. Now, there's some holes in his games, too. Don't get me wrong. Batting average is a big question mark. Look, guy strikes out 32.1% of the time, but walks 12.3%. The key part is, though, we can see a bump in the batting average if the strikeout percentage comes down just 5%. So a guy that strikes out 27%, 28%, even 26%, mixed with a higher walk percentage, even at 10%, equates to much higher batting average. So, even his expected batting average is 264. There's no reason it shouldn't hit 270. I think that's kind of like the sweet spot. Guys like Aaron Judge do it and others. Well, and we're talking Judge, but James Wood honestly is on that caliber of talent, just hasn't shown it yet. He's only 23 years old, which is the scary end at 6'7", 234 pounds. But James Wood is incredible. Look, he barrels at a super elite level, which barrel is just great contact off the ball, 16.3%. He mixes that up with hard hit percentage at 56.3%, which means the power numbers we saw this previous season isn't even the ceiling. It's more like the floor. 31 home runs, that's chump change for James Wood. Quite honestly, that kid could probably have a 40 home run season, if not more. Stolen bases, 15 to 17, I think is a reasonable expectation, especially with a higher batting average, and on a team that I think is going to get better. I like Dylan Cruz. I think Dylan Cruz just needs to come in his own. He might be a slower developer. Other names on that team, on the Nationals, that are just going to make things happen for James Wood around him. They got prospects, too, that can come up through there and just make things better. James Wood deserves to go higher in drafts, in my opinion. There's no other need to talk about him. Let's talk about Pete Crow-Armstrong. The craziest breakout I did not expect this performance from him. Wow. The question is he being overdrafted? Now, I am a believer in his talent. I did say to sell him because I didn't expect the breakout to continue at the rate it was going. I was right. It just took a couple more months after I traded him for it to not be as painful. But Pete Crow-Armstrong, playing for the outfielder for this, Chicago Cubs, teetered off a little bit. Had a great season. Overall, amazing season, especially for his rookie first full season. 591 at-bats, 91 runs, 37 doubles, 4 triples, 31 bombs, 95 ribs, 35 stolen bases, batted 247. Now, Matt, why would you say that he could bust? Well, I've seen this story before, too, from guys that break out, go off, and then have a terrible next year because they get figured out. And what tells me that? The end of the season, where in August and September, we batted 160 and 224. The home run numbers completely dropped from the pace that he had. He was hitting 6-9, 6-6, and then goes to 1-3. That's bad. Stolen bases were there. I'm not mad at that, but he's a guy that just I don't see the formula for success. The batting average also scares me. Him batting from 275, 269, 240, 308 for the first 4 months of the season, and the last 2 you drop to that. That's also kind of ugly, especially at the walk to strikeout percentage, which I think it could be even worse in terms of batting average. Him hitting 247, I think was just inflated from the beginning of the season because you look under the hood, he struck out 24% and only walked 4.5%, which tells me the batting average really isn't sustainable. And kind of tells me too that, okay, we could see lower floors, and he probably is more closer to 237, 227 in terms of batting average. Then we also look at, okay, is the power that we saw sustainable? The answer is not really. His average hard hit percentage, right? So 41.6%, right? So even with good contact, which he does, 13% this year, which is phenomenal. It's elite in barrel percentage, mixed with 41.6%, doesn't support the power number. If anything, I think we're going to see negative regression, which if he hits, essentially 22 home runs with 30 stolen bases, that's still a good season. But if he's batting 227 to 237, or even the 247, even if he repeats that, that is a bust. That is not a player that I want on my team, especially this high in the third round. Like, no, thank you. So ultimately, like, Pete Crow-Armstrong is on my bust list for 2026 because I don't think what he did is sustainable. It was super inflated, and we started seeing the real Pete Crow-Armstrong towards the end of the season. So for me, I'm out. He's on the bust list officially starting this year. That's it. I need to see some serious improvements in spring training. I need to hear offseason movements, all that kind of stuff to see how he's going to be approaching the plate. He needs to get more walks and strike out less, or at least way more walks, and stop chasing everything under the sun. And on top of that, we really want to get nitty gritty and start breaking down other things too. Like a guy that we also expect to have these kind of power numbers had super inflated fly ball ratios of percentage of 35.5%. That's not sustainable. The ground ball percentage is also not sustainable of 33.5%. These are all things that, quite honestly, they're going to go up, which then are going to, or down, fly ball down, ground ball up. And that is going to be also another factor of how we're going to see less power and less output and less return on that draft pick. So for me, Pete Crow-Armstrong, bust. All right, let's move on. So about Hunter Brown. What a season. It finally happened. Hunter Brown broke out, looked incredible. The whole season, age 26. So happy for the kid. 185 innings pitched, 206 strikeouts, 243 ERA, 102 whip. Looked phenomenal. The FIP was still supported at 314. Everything was moving and grooving for him in 2025. There is not a single thing I could poke a hole in his game. He looked great. All his pitches were successful, and he has a lot. Four-seam fastball, sinker, knuckle, curve, changeup, cutter, slider. Amazing pitches. Everything was unhittable this year. Like, wow. Now, do I think he's the number 5-ish pitcher? Yeah, I'm really not mad at that. This is a fair price. Do I think I'm going to pick him in the third round at this point? Right? Like I'm getting to the late round. Like this is like pick 9 in the third round. I'll consider it. I'm okay with walking away with him as my SP1. On top of that, I mean, this is the kind of time. If I have really all these other bats gone and I'm just left with like a Pete Crow-Armstrong and such, yeah, I'm gonna pick Hunter Brown. That's where I'll start making my decision. Because I also have a pick coming up real quick, and I'll be able to get somebody else in the next round for a bat and just not have to overpaying. Just lock up my SP1. So here's the next guy, Chris Sale, another pitcher. Now, he dealt with injuries last year. He's getting older. Those are the other factors in with Chris Sale. But, I mean, he still was phenomenal when he pitched. So I'm going to draft him. I think this is a fair draft price. I got no flaws in his game. He's the Hall of Famer the second he retires. He's just so good. And he proves it every day out on that mound. And him missing the time, honestly, just killed it because he'd be going much higher than what it was if he just would have pitched another 8 games, right? So for me, no holes to poke. Going to be 37. That's really just about it. Seeing guys get successful, but no drop in fastball velocity. Elite, power deflation because he only allowed his average exit velocity against him was 87.2 miles an hour. Got guys to chase 32%, got guys to whiff 30%, struck out guys 32.4%. Like all that stuff is super elite. And on top of that, getting it done in a high rip, which all equates to his production. Like it's all repeatable. Suppresses contact because he only has to barrel 6.3%. And hard hit percentage against him is 35.4%. Like nobody's hitting home runs against him, even when you make contact against him. So you got to get lucky. He is such a good pitcher. Until I see otherwise, I'm on board with Chris Sale because we've seen this story before where, we think, oh, he's getting up there in age. And then this pitcher that's late in his latter half of his career still is awesome. He's maybe got this year left, but I'm going to take my shot on him every single time. So I'm drafting Chris Sale. Fair. I would hope to see him fall into the 4th round, but we'll get into that when we talk 4th round on the next episode. So guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share the show because we truly love bringing it to you each and every day. And thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get your local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Peace.